Everybody breath stink. You know what? I'm done. Beehive will not get me.
Right, the high.
Right. Have your eyes been open? She wipes.
Oh, 25.
Or maybe not. Maybe she's like,
I hope she doesn't have anybody wiping her ass. That is ridiculous.
would you have somebody wipe your ass?
Yeah. So
At
guys,
your nearest Walmart.
oh no, y'all go to Target. Okay. See what I'm saying?
Oh no, we're not legal yet.
Is
so.
that a white people thing for real?
Hey, excuse me, sir. I do not. I don't do this. He's like, oh, boo, get them elbows.
2 shots of the truth and we're back.
Oh yeah, we be back. We about to take our shots.
We gotta take shots, man. Hey, welcome to a podcast about nothing
With V.
and AD. See what I'm saying? You have to
All right,
start it
fine.
We're gonna get this intro right. I promise you.
We're not. We probably will not ever. This is going to be our intro. I promise you.
Because I sound like Beyonce in the morning.
You don't. You sound like you got coal in your eyes.
Don't say that.
Sound like your breath stink.
I
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, Beyonce. You know what? I'm done. The beehive will
The
not
hive is
get
here.
me.
Right,
The hive
the
is
hive.
here.
Right.
Beyonce smells great in the morning.
Right. Exactly. I
Minty
mean,
fresh.
not her breath.
Oh.
Everybody breath stink. Everybody ass stink too. She wipes.
Oh. Honey pie.
Or maybe not. Maybe she's like, wipe us.
Oh. I hope she doesn't have anybody wiping her ass. That is ridiculous.
Would you have somebody wipe your ass?
Yes.
Charlemagne.
Charlemagne will wipe your ass?
No, I wouldn't have that much money probably, but I don't know.
I'll
Who would
sing the
Beyonce
song.
have wipe her butt?
No, she probably has one of those toilets that sprays water up your ass.
But
But don't
Dang.
you still have to wipe after that?
Oh, I'd have never
I
experienced.
think so, because
And
that's
I said,
nasty.
I'm Charmin clean. Oh yeah, my hiney's.
She's literally been singing this song all
I don't know
week.
why
Charmin?
it's-
Is that
yeah.
a song?
It's a commercial. Oh,
I
yeah,
thought it was just
I'm
a bunch of
Charmin.
bears pooping.
I'm Charmin clean.
They're so cute,
Oh
though.
yeah, my hiney's clean. You know.
Is that you? Is that your next joint? Dropping Thursday. Like,
So guys.
At your nearest Walmart.
Oh no, don't do me. I'll go to Target. Okay.
Real? She's like, yes, exactly.
There is a difference.
Right, there is a difference, but we have guests, guys.
Ooh, introduce yourselves.
We got visitors.
ladies first.
Oh, I'm Ashley. Hi.
Hi.
What's up, everybody? It's Jake Vicious coming to you live from House Studios with Davina, the homie, long time.
You giving out my
accomplice.
government today. My name is V.
V? Okay.
V and
on the
AD,
podcast?
yeah.
Y'all are undercover. I see what's happening. I
Yes,
see what's
yeah.
Let me
happening.
put on my hat.
That's lit.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, she got the Russian hat too. She undercover and she gonna get arrested.
Don't,
That's real.
Hey,
real.
excuse me, sir. I do not. I don't do this.
That's
don't do
real.
this.
We are drinking Moscow Mule.
So this episode is very serious.
We're gonna stop saying that.
I
Every episode
promise.
is
nervous.
serious.
No, every episode is serious. I take everything seriously.
Bruh.
It is. Ooh.
What?
Okay, I won't say that. Are we supposed to say that?
What?
It's not legal everywhere.
What's not legal
Nothing.
everywhere?
So this episode.
Interracial
That could be a thing.
Right, that
Have
could
you ever
be
been to
illegal.
Utah?
Nah, she real.
No,
That's
but we've
super
been
real.
deep
That's
in
super
some
real.
bad parts of Virginia.
Utah. Who's going there?
Wait a minute. Interracial dating is not legal?
It is legal.
It's legal in the U.S. at least. Wasn't that whole movie is about that we
What,
watched a
Loving?
long time ago? Yeah, Loving, about the old guy. And,
How it's
young
recently
black girl.
legal, like
Yeah,
last
they had to
50
go to
years.
the Supreme Court and make that shit happen because like a bunch-
Recently?
this might have been in the 60s or 70s, but in the last like 30, 40 years, yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
Pretty recent.
Wow.
Damn.
So this is a serious podcast.
See what I'm saying?
I didn't think so
This
until
is-
right now. I didn't think
It
so
just got
until this
really
Oh,
moment.
no,
deep.
we're not legal yet, so this is serious.
This is really serious.
No, we were
but
talking
do
about
have-
weed. Sorry.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
True.
Well,
Just
I'm
legal.
always interested in it.
That's legal.
Hey,
Got my pen
legalize
downstairs.
it. Time to recognize it again.
Oh,
Isn't that what Sean Paul
recognize
said?
Yep, have to recognize it. We be for the
So, yeah.
Sorry, that's my jam.
Is
I
it?
just mind
Fuck
you.
yeah.
You know, Sean Paul also only dances with his top half.
Sean Paul's my personal hero, so that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
He leaves his bottom half at home. That's what you said, right?
Only during the dance session, not during the love session. Let's make that clear.
Oh.
Because leaving the bottom half at home sounds awful. So I don't want to, I'm not saying that on air one time. But yeah, no, I dance with the shoulders. My hips lie, but my shoulders tell the truth. You know what I mean? Like that's, Shakira had it a little backwards. Yeah. So that's how I'd say about that. Meanwhile, there's supposed to be...
You deal with this every day, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah, every single day. It's great.
So today's episode is about interracial dating. We're going to call this Interracial Duo.
Okay.
Interracial duo.
Ashley, what do you consider yourself?
Explain your nationalities for the people that can't see you.
I am the black one. Just kidding. No, yeah, I'm African American, so.
True.
Okay.
Well, Scantron tells me I'm white. But besides that, yeah, no, like, I was born in America. I'm pretty white. I'm as white as it gets. My family's Italian and Jewish and a little Russian. But yeah, I'm second generation born here. So my dad and my mom were born here, but their parents were both born in Europe and Eastern Europe, which has changed countries a lot.
Oh, wow. Wow. All right. Do you feel different as far as dating goes? Like,
What do you mean? Feel different?
do people treat you different as far as being an interracial couple? When you're out, do you notice that you may be a little different? I know it's not really that different anymore to
Date
outside of your race, right? But in somewhat, especially with a white guy and a black girl, you normally see it the other way around, right? A black guy and a white girl. She got the white girl dating a black man hairdo, spritz, fly. Look, short.
Fake ass.
It might be dyed red or whatever, but do people treat you different? Or do you notice?
Or do you notice that people treat you differently?
I'd say we used to notice a lot more at first, like, oh, these people are looking at us weird at this bar. The only like big time it's been different is it was actually at the hospital and I had a procedure and they were bringing me back and Jake was in the room waiting for me like the wonderful boyfriend he is, and they were like, oh, we have the wrong room. He's like, nope, she's mine, bring her on in. But so that was the one time where it was like, oh, just because we're different colors they think we weren't together. But other than that, I don't notice.
Yeah, I would say, well, do we notice? So, like, we live in the Northeast, right? We live in D.C., and our
Yeah.
families are in New York and in Virginia Beach, so we're all pretty, like, Northeast and all on the coast. So it's never really too crazy here. But, yeah, if we're in, like, a restaurant or, like, a bar, a party, or a show, and there's 100 couples, maybe 2 or 3 of them might be interracial. So, like, we definitely have noticed, like, other interracial couples, like, oh, they're just like us. You know what I mean? We say that sometimes when people pass by. And so it's noticeable, and some people will look like a second time, but in the Northeast it's not that crazy. Yeah,
That's what I say. I don't think up here is really that big of a deal. Like
Yeah.
this is the Northeast in general is just a big melting pot. It's usually everywhere else. It's like, oh my God,
yeah.
what is going on?
DC and New York and
Yeah.
Cali, it's always fine. You know what I mean?
So is this a preference for you all to date outside of your race, or to date white for you, Ashley, to date black for you, Jake? Like, is this a preference or is this a love thing? Is this like a...
I think it's
So
a love
let me
thing.
hear about your story. How did you guys meet?
Well, Jake is the first person, well, not the first person I've dated outside of my race, but definitely the first white person I've ever dated. So I wouldn't say it's a preference.
Hey.
And yeah, I'll let you get into the story.
Wait, so the how we met, right? So,
Yeah.
So I'm an engineer, a musician by trade, right? So I started out like making records and being in bands that were super whack, and Dead Magnum was the name of my first band I was going over before, and just like punk rock stuff, right? So I came to DC and started doing engineer, and actually Davina's husband, Yudu, discovered me when I was interning at SiriusXM in their studio doing some fun stuff on New York Ave. So I've been working for House Studios for a long time, and I did and do tons of projects for like hip hop artists and R&B artists. And we had a program called the Artist Grant, and a person who didn't win, but a friend of mine, his name was Fuse the MC, and he was an artist from Howard, which is down the street from our old studio. And so he had his project, and we were working on it late night, mixing, producing, and he would bring in a lot of his friends from Howard. And he brought in this girl, Ashley, one day, which was one of his many friends that were like these young, cute girls from Howard, but of course, Ashley was stunningly beautiful the second I saw her. But besides that, she was really into the music, right? So like we connect because she was really into engineering then. We didn't know each other, but she came in through the session. But she was kind of like watching me, like how I work some of the gear and how I like talk to the artists and like stupid stuff that's called shortcuts. And that was really, really cool. And I thought she was cute and awesome, but I was like, nah, I'm in the studio. I'm trying to be this man, this successful person. So like, nah, I'm not gonna like pay her no mind or pay any attention. So life went on.
Damn, I didn't even know that.
That was a Fuse the MCs project when we were in Northeast, during 12th Street.
Wow.
This was during then. Fuse was one of the people who lost the first artist grant.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Ashley kept up with me for like 3 years after that. Nothing crazy, but like sending me stuff like, hey, I'm doing this engineering thing at this radio station. Hey, I'm doing this whatever.
She sounds like a stalker.
I'd love to come in.
Yeah,
and,
I
like, well, not just I'd love to come in and follow you. I'd love to come in and like learn some engineering shit. I'd love to come whatever. And I was always like, no, because I knew she was like super cute and stuff too. And I was still trying to like not take on very many interns, but also like, you know, never confuse that thing and keep working and growing. But she was really persistent, and we had this great opportunity in this amazing building we're in now to do some new shit. And she was still persistent, like, hey, I want to come, like, just, you know, see what you're doing and see what the engineering stuff. And then I was like, hey, you know what, it's fine. We have this girl named Tiff now who handles interns. She'll weed her out. She doesn't let anybody through. So I'll let Ashley come through and see what's up. And Ashley came, and she stuck it out, and she was tough as nails, and she kept up with all the other engineers and the people, and we started working together for like a year. And then started getting romantically involved during that, a little like after that year. So we were working together for a while before we started doing anything romantic.
So you guys knew each other for a while before.
Yeah.
But even before we started working together, we probably knew each other for maybe like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it took a long time before it got romantic, which is,
well, that's
we were
good.
friends first.
That's good.
Sure.
Well, / I was his intern.
Yeah, I remember I knew.
How did you
Davina
know?
thinks she knew before anybody.
How did you know?
Ashley would do things on your phone. That regular.
It's always the smallest things that girls can pick up on. Like
Ashley would do things on your phone that just regular females wouldn't do.
Think so?
Yeah, like
Davina picks up on all sorts of stuff.
Like creating your bit emoji.
I think Sydney made that.
Oh no! It was one.
But it was before then. Like this was a bit emoji.
And then,
believe it or not,
and then
how old I
you
am. Bit
did
emoji was like a
something
little earlier
like.
than that.
I think you were ordering him food, or let me see your. I don't know. We were down there, and you were like, "Yeah, I have Jake's phone. I'm doing something." I think you might have been ordering food for him because he wouldn't eat if you didn't. It was something weird.
That sounds like us. That sounds exactly like us. That sounds right.
I said, and then we went to Busboy and Ports after that.
Ashley remembers this.
That
time.
was after that, and we were sitting at Busboy and Ports, and I think you ordered for him, or he ordered for you, or you guys shared, or something like that.
We picked together.
Or you picked together.
It was
And
like,
then we were in the car, and I said, you know Ashley and Jake are dating, right? Said no, because I think Yudu may have asked you.
We did. We kept it a secret for at least 6 months. Like we kept the secret for a while. We were working together for maybe like a year. Then we started like dating and hanging out outside of work. But it was a while after. But yeah, then we kept it a secret from everybody at the studio for a while because although I don't know if I was running sessions at the time, Ashley was definitely still working under me because there was a couple other engineers that were like running the sessions. Yeah. So yeah, we like specifically didn't really want to tell anybody. So we didn't really want it to be like a thing that stopped her or you know made anybody else feel a certain kind of way about her or us or me or whatever.
Yeah.
So
was there an adjustment to dating outside of your race?
Like, was that ever a thing for you?
no, I think there were definitely some conversations, obviously, that you have that you wouldn't have with somebody if you were dating within your race.
I don't know how to play spades. I'm very bad at it.
I don't either. Don't feel bad.
Thanks, homie. Come to this barbecue with me on Saturday so we can sit together.
Did you say come there?
Some knows like come to this barbecue on Saturday so we can sit together and not play spades.
Seriously.
You don't feel like there was any type of adjustment or that either one of you ever had to code switch?
Like any deeper understanding that you had to gain from dating outside of your race. Like I had to get used to this or.
He just like doesn't put on lotion. And that was really the
that
biggest
what white
thing.
people think for real?
Everybody that asked me,
I don't use moisturizer. It's so real.
I don't
That's
think
so
it's
real.
a white thing. I think it's a man thing.
Oh, really?
Because I didn't use moisturizer before I dated Ashley. I'll tell you that much.
Everybody was like, "What's the difference?" I'm like, "It's everything's the same except for he doesn't wear lotion."
I definitely don't. I try to when we talk about it.
Well, let me ask you now. Was it because you don't get ashy?
Well, no, because I didn't know what that was, so no. So
But
I probably
he
didn't.
knows what Ashy is now, because if I'm Ashy, he'll lick his thumb.
I'll clown her occasionally.
run it
Occasionally I'll clown her. You have to clown your significant
So
other.
he's really hip to it being Ashy.
He's like, oh, boo, get them elbows.
Yeah, he'll lick his thumb
I'll
and just
clown
rub it
her
across
again.
my
Mostly because I know it bothers her, so I have a really good time bothering her about it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
What did your parents say? Or did they say anything?
My mom didn't say anything. She's always been super supportive. Yeah. This isn't like the first interracial relationship in my family. So she was just like, oh, yeah. I think she just wasn't surprised. And she was just concerned, like, oh, Jake, the one you work with? That was the bigger concern over, what he looked like.
Yeah, I was going to say similar. Like, my parents weren't out of pocket. They didn't do anything crazy. Like, they didn't say anything super, super wild. I wasn't.
What you said super, super wild,
So,
but what did
little
they
wild.
say?
What was the embarrassing thing that they probably did that was like,
Again, I know a couple embarrassing things.
Did they like put Jay-Z and Beyonce on TV?
No, but like, so my dad is a little more conservative. My mom is super Democrat, right? Which is like whatever, they're New Yorkers, so they fight about stuff, but nothing crazy. But at fucking Thanksgiving, of course, my dad wants to be like, I don't really think Colin Kaepernick should have taken a knee. First goddamn Thanksgiving, we're hanging out with Ashley. I'm not kidding. It's like the first time, and not even just hanging out with Ashley, it's like the first Thanksgiving that I have an older sister and a younger brother. The first time we ever bring a significant other to the Thanksgiving shit. My dad just decides at that moment to be like, I give a fuck about football, which my dad does not give that much of a fuck about football. So this came out of nowhere. But no, he's not racist.
That was an
terrible
interesting
person. But
night.
yeah, like that was the stupidest and probably the most adjusting, ridiculous thing that we had to deal with. And it was silly.
But his family jumped in. I didn't say anything. He
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
say
'cause like I
anything.
said-
We just like held hands under the table, and his mom was like, that's not right. And his sister jumped in.
Yeah, they're
His-
both super New Yorkers, so they took him to house
They
for
kinda
like an
checked
hour
him.
and a half. And me and Ashley just kind of sat there while they like ripped my dad apart because it was small, but it was very silly.
Would your dad go, what?
He's just like, because he's just an old Italian man, so he didn't get it. He's just like, well, I pay for the theater and I don't want to pay for the AIDS donation. I just want to watch the show. And I was just like, yo, that doesn't make any.
say that.
Like he was just making points that didn't help him, and just like my sister, my dad, my mom just buried him for like an hour and a half, and me and Ashley sat there, and I was like, this was a great first Thanksgiving. I was like, this is as smooth as this could have went.
Did it
This
make
is
you
great.
uncomfortable?
That's a great question. I never really asked you that.
Did it make you uncomfortable?
It made me really uncomfortable that I did. It made me really comfortable that I didn't have to defend myself or
that's
defend
nice.
my view, because I was going to speak up on it. I was going to be like, oh, well, here's what I think, you
Yes, he was
know.
being
Yeah.
trifling.
But I didn't have to intervene there at all. I was really worried that the food was gonna like not be seasoned, but it was
She
bomb.
seasoned it.
His mom made the best stuffing ever. The only thing, yeah, I'm not gonna say that. She's gonna listen to this.
That's why I said
yams
that
were-
doesn't
Yeah,
count
who knows?
because Italians, that's a different breed.
She
Okay?
cooked a
Yeah.
little bit.
I was really
They cooked a little
concerned.
bit. My dad was a little bit too.
It
Not
was
only
good.
do they cook a little bit, they can season.
They
That's
can-
what's
Yes.
important. Anybody can throw
Season,
chicken
okay?
and cook.
She taught me
No.
how to do some
Season
sexy shit with
is-
a bag and a whole bunch of seasoned stuff that I didn't know. boy.
best stuffing
Oh,
I've
the
ever
girl slapped me
had.
out just now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his mom's like super welcoming, and
She's
They're
a lady.
cool
They're
people.
both good people.
I was scared though. It is kind of scary going into like a different family's home and there's different cultures. I was
So
definitely
did
apprehensive.
you think about it as a race thing when you were going into his home, or was it like I'm just scared to meet his parents? Is it like, oh, I'm black and
I guess a little bit of both. Because I was
Okay.
just like, I wonder if this is going to be really different. Like,
Yeah.
I'm used to my family just acting a fool. Everybody's drinking. I have the drunk uncles.
Yeah.
And it's also hard for Jake
Lord,
when he
child.
meets my family. My mom's one of 11, and she has 9 brothers and 1
Oh.
sister. So I have
9
9
uncles.
huge uncles that were just like ready, because I don't really bring people home like that. So I think he was probably more scared than I was.
Were you scared, Jake?
I wouldn't use the word scared, but there's definitely like there's a stigma about a white person coming into that situation, like taking their beautiful baby girl away, and like of course that's not what I'm trying to do, right? Like I love and support this girl, so I want to hang out with this family and do whatever. No one's getting taken away from anything.
Yeah.
And when you talk about 9 uncles, and like Ashley is always, and in the best way possible, like the center of attention, does things for parties, like supports these people, like when there is these family gatherings, gets food together, like you are the giver in that situation. And so like I never wanted them to ever feel like I was taking any of that away from them or being like destroying their culture or their family by loving a member of it. You know what I mean? So
like that.
that was a thing I thought about. But we've done 1 or 2 things with the family, and we're going down this weekend, and It's always been good. It's always never been a bad thing. Like, I have no malintent.
It's never been awkward or anything for you.
No.
That's good.
No, not yet.
Both of our families are very welcoming, so that helps a lot.
That's really, really good.
Yeah.
Because my family definitely wasn't welcoming.
They like me.
Of who?
Of Jay.
Of Jay.
Of you do?
Of you do.
Well, so
Because he's African.
Because he's African.
So, yeah,
I
so
mean,
that's
it's not,
what's
it's
funny
not,
about-
It's not that they weren't welcoming. It was like...
questions.
It's
I feel
different.
like they
Questions.
always have
So
questions.
what's funny about this conversation, and of course this is me being whack as shit, but so my dad being the crazy person he is, so my mom's family is all super Jewish, and my only living grandparent is my grandmother, and she told my mom that she couldn't marry or be with my dad because he wasn't Jewish, and that they weren't allowed to date and they weren't allowed
that's
to
real.
be together.
That's real.
So they like were a whole thing, but then her husband, which is my grandfather, who recently, or not recently, but passed, he was like, nah, like he's a good man, he can take care of him. So like he kind of understood that thing of like he was an orphan but an Italian Catholic, and he was like, yo, didn't feel like I was welcome here until her father opened her arms and was like, no, if you take care of my daughter, that's what's up. So I've found strength in that, and I felt like he was strong for it, and it made me feel okay about this because it's
That's
about
dope.
you.
So do you think it took another family member, or it will take another family member for you not to feel uncomfortable about it? Like, even if you were to think about it for yourselves to go into another family, go meet his family and vice versa, did it take for someone else to be like, okay, he's cool, for you to feel really comfortable with the situation?
You go first?
No. I mean, everybody thought he was cool, but Jake is really cool. I will say at the
is cool.
cookout, I
I'm
did
working on it.
introduce him to my white aunt.
Ooh, Jake
True.
was invited to the cook.
I have a visitor's pass. I got it. I'm
You
here.
have a permanent pass now, so that's good.
Working on it.
But he met my white aunt. My uncle married a white woman, and they have biracial children, so they got to
Handy.
connect. And I thought that was important for them to meet, because I was like,
Yeah, that's
you
cool.
know, I don't know if you would find comfort in that, but
Yeah.
that happened. But no, everybody was super welcoming, and I've never needed anybody else's like cosign or anything like that
Yeah.
to appreciate him the way I do.
I actually also have some younger cousins who I'm a little closer with, like us and Melissa hung out when she was up for your birthday. So like I've been hanging out with Ashley's cousins a little bit. So like
He's a part of the family.
that's like regular though. You know what I mean? It's always you're gonna hang out
Regular,
with the younger.
degular,
you're gonna hang out with the-
smegular.
You're gonna hang out with the younger kids. That's always gonna be easier. My family's a little smaller, but no, I'm a little more independent. So like they're gonna take my cosign. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
That's good. When your family trusts your word instead of having to feel like they need to go out their way to like, no, let me question her or him and let me figure out what's going on. Like, no, they're good in my book, and that's all you need to know. So that's good. Is there anything that you had to brief your partner on before meeting your families? Like, look, this is how this goes. This is what this is going to be. Don't be upset. Don't be offended. Don't feel any kind of way about this. Or was it just like, okay.
Nothing too crazy yet, I don't think. My grandma, I don't think you've met yet. She's a little older. She's 90. And so and honestly, only because she's 90, yeah, so I'm probably just being really ageist. But, like, I definitely had to introduce that I had a black girlfriend, but only to my grandma, because when she was
Yeah.
90, because I was just like, I didn't want her to die. And, like, I didn't know kind of, like, I remember how she was so, or at least my dad said, and then she was younger, obviously, but how intolerant she was to people outside of her religion, and for even being from New York, both of them. So I definitely slow tipped into that. So when we do eventually meet my grandma, which will be soon, I'd still actually kind of take her things with a grain of salt, but just because
Yeah.
she's a lot older than everybody with cognizant thoughts. So, like, she's a great lady, but like some of that rage is a little old rage. It's not necessarily rage against anything.
I think that's just old people, period.
In general.
Yeah.
And then they
She's
came.
old,
They
her
came
health
up
ain't
in
good,
a.
you know what I mean? So it's like it's more
Yeah.
about her
But she
situation.
also came up in a different time. Like
They had
it's
to
like
deal with a whole bunch of different problems.
a whole bunch of different problems. And also, I know my grandma. She wasn't tolerant to anyone outside of her family.
Really?
Don't care about race. Don't care about religion. If you're not in my family, I don't really fuck with you like that. So, she was nice, all that stuff, but it was it was family over everything.
I'm interested if we'll be that way when we're, like, say, post 80, right? Because we assume that of people who are, like, post 80, like, the older people. Like, and it's such a funny thing. And I feel like there's a lot of differences because, like, my grandma can't use a fucking iPhone or a computer, right? So she can't even communicate with the outside world. Like, hopefully we'll all be able to do when we're 80 and 90. But like, yeah, I wonder if that's just an age thing or if maybe we're actually a little bit closer as like, you know, the people after like, you know, fucking 60 years.
I think because of social media. It
My
has
grandma's Instagram page would be so lit.
right. But I think because of social media, we're all so connected. We're so in tune with other cultures.
That's true.
Like
Yeah.
like that we're not calling your grandma ignorant or my grandma ignorant, but we're not so ignorant to
My grandma's ignorant as
other
shit.
I
My grandma is ignorant.
I honestly believe that's most older people in
yeah,
general.
it's
like,
right. We're
Yeah, 'cause
we're
they
not
don't
so
they never saw it. Like
They
there was
never
no
saw it.
internet. There was
Exactly.
barely TV,
they didn't see,
right?
and they're not willing to see now because that's what they know it to be. Like that's.
I mean,
that's
well,
like-
my grandma couldn't see. She said she couldn't. She couldn't see out one eye.
My
and-
She was
grandmother
like
had
that fuzzy
glaucoma.
bright blur.
Right,
Fuck him.
Right. She
him
said,
and fuck her.
"I'm blind in one eye and can't see out the other." Literally, that was her saying. Blind in one, can't see out the other. So she couldn't see. She couldn't see shit. She could not see shit. Is there anything you had to brief your partner?
Before we went to fam, I think we talked about that. Only the grandma.
Oh, the grandma. Yeah.
So, is there anything, or if it didn't go the way you guys wanted, would you be willing to cut off your family or friends if they didn't approve of your significant other?
Always gonna let you go first.
No, you go first.
Or would you cut off your partner?
Oh,
Like,
look,
who would-
look.
Mine's
look.
easy. Yeah, mine's easy. So I'm always let you go first.
Oh, okay.
Meanwhile, period.
I take everybody's opinion with a grain of salt. Luckily,
Okay.
everybody loves Jake as much as I do, but I think even with any partner that I have, I've had partners where everybody's like, red flag, we don't like this person. And I think that's valid if everybody in your life, like all of your close friends, your family don't like it. And you're like, well, you don't have to date him, I do. And then you
Yeah.
see what they were talking about.
Yeah.
So there's that, and that's not race related at all. But if anybody was like not accepting of Jake just because he's white, then
would
that's not
question it.
really the person that I want to take advice from, or even that means like we have such different values, because I think love always should win. And that's, to me, like, would you say something weird to me if I was gay and I brought a woman home? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that means
Yes.
they don't value
Yes, they
my
would.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
weird. Very
Right.
weird.
So it just means they don't value my humanity and other people inequality.
I like that.
And those are really important to me. So yeah, I definitely cut some family off for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you. No, the question is, would you cut family or friends off? You have to agree with your significant other, of course, easily. Because, like, you're gonna, at least in my experience and in my limited time on this earth, you're gonna be friends with a lot of people, and they're gonna have so many different opinions, right? Especially, I grew up not as close to the big city, right? So I grew up in New Jersey, like outside of New York, but then moving to DC, obviously my world changed a bunch. So I know what prejudice and racism looks like, and like what people who I grew up with look like, not understanding or not being about that life. But like, yeah, if they think either less of me or they're not, racism is so ugly. You know what I mean? Because like,
is,
it's
yeah.
like the basic shit, right? Like, yo, you cannot be into interracial dating, but if you're a friend of mine and you can't sit down and have like a slight drink with us and we're celebrating something for you, you ain't no friend of mine. Like, there's so many more
That's
real
right,
things in
Jake.
the world.
I've gotten in an argument with
Tell me.
somebody in my family about you.
Interracial dating?
Well, it just felt like they were being disrespectful on like, oh, where's your white boy?
You're talking about
type
what's his
thing.
name?
Yeah, and this is my
Labeling him and stuff,
cousin's
yeah.
husband, and I was like,
You're
I
not
checked
even
this
him.
is
really
cute.
related to me.
Yeah.
So you're not even really related
Yeah,
to
yeah, he
me.
doesn't in the immediate
Hey,
family,
Robin,
but
it's okay, baby. It's
no,
okay.
this is how you know, like, this
and
is why I
I
love
checked
this
him
girl,
so
'cause,
hard
like,
that
me
he
and-
left. Like, my mom was like, why are you leaving? She's like, yo, I don't know. Like, Ashley, da-da-da-da.
But what's funny
I
is,
was
so
like, you
I wasn't
gotta
there,
go.
and I've met this individual at another family gathering, and me and him are okay. Like, we were, because
Oh,
like I said,
you thought.
Right.
yeah.
Well, because he wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but I was just so sensitive and so protective
Yeah,
of
so,
Jake
like-
and us that I was like, don't say like, oh, where's your like little white boy, da da da. Like that's not okay. And I've told him that before. So for me to kind of set that boundary and for you to cross it, I like lost it for a second, and he didn't want to disrespect me in my mama's house, so he was like, I gotta go.
Oh, not in my mama's house.
That's real.
You done
gotta
fucked up
go.
today. I'm gonna kick you out, your wife out,
And
your
I
little nappy headed kids out, your dog go. Bye.
Yeah, I felt
Bye.
bad because then my cousin and her newborn baby ended up leaving too, and it was like a big thing. But I was like, he was being disrespectful to my relationship, and I've kind
know
of
that's
set
right.
Yeah.
those lines before. And I think he also has a thing with like women speaking up for themselves too. So he just felt like he
Yeah.
couldn't.
We know.
I think he wasn't expecting me to like really defend.
Yeah, and remember, I
defend
wasn't
us.
there for this thing, so I heard about this kind of after, and I appreciate and love you for standing up
He
for
was like,
us
"Oh,
and
you
for
too."
you. It's always going to be more sensitive to the person because it's their family.
Yeah.
So, like, I would
Definitely.
never try and
In
push
law.
too hard against any of those people or him or
Right.
whatever.
You're not
but,
even really related to me.
Yeah.
Right.
But if it makes her uncomfortable,
Right.
it makes me uncomfortable. So,
Yeah.
there you go.
But so now he'll know for this weekend.
You'd probably be here. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, and it'll all be fine. It's all
Well, that's
love.
when you walk past like, hey, hey.
We still together. He likes my booty. It's big and black.
New theme song.
Right.
Oh, we should use that for the next.
No.
Okay.
Don't make me make a beat. Don't make me make a beat.
let's use that for the next theme song. So, have your eyes been open to your significant other's culture?